Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight via this screencast to provide an equity update for our school board on the parent and family engagement work that we've been doing with the Parent Leadership Council over the last few years to align our work with the equity. Before we start sharing any information about the work that we've done, I want us to be able to steep with gratitude for all of the work that's been able to do over the last 3 years. Since March of 2020, nearly 60 parents and caregivers, all 9 elementary principals and 4 district administrators have put in 60 plus hours in 40 formal meetings, in addition to many, many more hours outside of with outside planning or building level SCO meetings in order to build this model that will advance equity in and among our 9 elementary schools. All of the leaders across all levels, so the family leaders, our school principals, district administrators, school board members, have really prioritized this work while leading through a pandemic, while assessing bell times and secondary boundaries, while building new schools, while teaching and parenting children through a pandemic and post-pandemic. I have so much gratitude for the passionate parents and caregivers that called out at the beginning of 2020 to say, what can we do to help? This driving force of family leadership continues to propel the work of SCOs into this next chapter as leaders in their schools and collaboratively with each other across the district. To the SCO leaders that have served as the bridge between the conversations at the PLC and the SCO, fielding questions and concerns, leading the conversation of why equity, why now with their peers, and continuing to lead the work of building community among families and their school teachers and staff, thank you. For all 9 elementary principals that show up online and in person to evening meetings to build space for shared leadership with their SCOs, to build coherence between their school day goals and plans, and with principals and colleagues across the district, thank you. So much great gratitude for the leadership at the administrative offices, those that have led the work for many years, being open to thinking about how we do this work differently, to how we can lead our colleagues across the district, and how we can support this work through in-kind or policy, all of these different ways. Thank you so much. And gratitude, so much gratitude for Bryn and Diana for their years of work on this project, both as parents and members of the board. So now, just like the Grammys, I can hear the music calling and y'all are like, let's get on with the show. So let me continue and tell you a little bit about our story. So what is the PLC? The PLC is the Parent Leadership Council, and this is made up of members from each of our school community organizations, and they meet monthly to collaborate on ideas and share learning. This work did not start in 2020. This has been going on for years before that, but the work has been the same. So the vision of the Parent Leadership Council you can read here, and this is something that they established back in 2016 when they first got started. So starting in 2020, when we came back together, the PLC wasn't able to talk about the potlucks that they were planning or the events that they were planning. And so the members came together and said, well, what can we do? And at the same time, our district is talking about our work in equity and education, and as we support our families going through the pandemic. And so we really leaned in and took this opportunity to share some learning and have some collaborative learning space for equity with our family leaders. And so we had a book study with Beyond the Bake Sale by Dr. Karen Mapp. We held a Parents as Partners in Equity speaker series. And through all this learning, by the end of that school year, all 9 SCO groups agreed that we needed to partner better in equity. And so in 21-22, we brought on a consultant to help us lead this work. We identified some clear goals and established consensus decision-making processes to use. We did this in collaboration with principals, SCOs, and our district. We had our family engagement plans cascaded in from the district to all of our schools. That isn't just elementary. In 22-23, this year, we are currently working on, with those identified goals, how do we bring this to life? What are those 4 work groups? And we'll talk about those in just a minute. And a creation of the model, with the goal of implementing the elementary equity model in the next school year, alongside with our middle school SCOs. Everyone has a role in equity. The goals of our work, of this elementary equity work, was to develop an SCO model that creates and sustains equity of resources and implements consistency of practices across all school district elementary schools, and to build ownership in the decisions of the group through adequate conversations and collaborative processes. And so coming out of this work, we have identified 4 priority areas for our SCOs to work collaboratively across the district on. So shared student experiences, staff appreciation, needs assessment, and then collaborative and shared operational strategies. To help bring this to life and how this is showing up in one of our elementary schools, we have Mike and Brent here from Token Springs. So I will turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Jamie. We started the 2018-19 school year as a new school with a new SCO, and we went through a lot of new learning. There had been a refrain in the Sun Prairie community around a desire to have equitable opportunities provided by our SCOs across all of our buildings. We had the unique opportunity in our first year to listen to this refrain, which positively influenced how we developed our school community and identity. This spilled over into the collaborative work of our SCO, where our members recognized, as Jamie just had on a previous slide, that everyone has a role in equity. This allowed us to thoughtfully challenge the sentiment, well, that's just how we've always done things here. That led into the development of formal family engagement plans. During the 2019-2020 school year, as a part of our community engagement section on our school scorecards, we implemented a formal family engagement plan. And through collaboration across all of our elementary buildings, with a special thanks to Michelle Kelly and the Horizon crew for the first iteration, we developed our first formal plan. Each iteration since has improved as we leverage the school SCO partnership, allowing us to review and refine our plan together to better support the family-school partnership. We also went through a process of redefining the role of our SCO at Token Springs. During our monthly SCO meetings, a theme was emerging around how do we do something different? There was a desire to move away from being seen as only a fundraising arm and move into strengthening the connection between home and school, offering meaningful experiences and opportunities to our school community. COVID provided us this opportunity, as again, Jamie alluded to earlier, provided us the opportunity to make this change, and we haven't looked back since. Our SCO has continued not only to sustain, but also build momentum in this work, finding new and innovative ways to move closer to a true partnership school, as well as continuing to be an active member of the Parent Leadership Council, the PLC, along with our fellow elementary schools. I am going to pass it over to Brent to have him speak a little bit more.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Brent Hayden, and I am currently serving on the board of the SCO at Token Springs and have been serving in different roles since 2019. And so the impact for me when it came to embarking on this equity project was that it allowed me to elevate the voices of the community that was meeting at our SCO meetings. Token Springs, the boundary, if you don't know, was comprised of I don't know if it's 3 or 4 different districts, but our SCO was comprised of 4 different elementary schools leaders that came together. So Royal Oaks, North Side, West Side, and CH Bird. And having all those voices came together really helped us elevate that there was some inequity in the funds that were being raised and those organizations' ability to build community at each individual school. So really, this project allowed me to elevate those voices that I was hearing from our communities that had experienced that inequity from the other side. It also allowed us to refocus our efforts. So in the middle of the pandemic, we weren't sure how to really move forward as a parent organization that really thrives on throwing events where everybody comes together under one roof. And so we really turned towards this work, and the group was really unanimous on supporting the efforts to find a way to address the inequity that we had. It also allowed us to refocus on rebuilding and building community. When the pandemic hit, Token Springs was halfway through its second year of its existence. And so the sense of community at Token Springs was still kind of in its infancy before that pandemic hit. So it really allowed us to focus on what can we do instead of focusing on our efforts on raising money. How can we focus our time and effort on building that sense of community, having engaging events, and really listening to what our community was telling us they wanted to see from us? And so this project was a huge part of that. And as Jamie had voiced earlier, all of this work came through the PLC, but it didn't just start in 2020. It really dates back to some of the brave steps that those members in the PLC who came from some of those schools like Tara and Bonnie, who consistently raised their voice about the inequity that existed and how we weren't all on that same level playing field. And with that, I will pass it over to Patty.
Great, thanks, Brent. Hi, I'm Patty Lux, and I have worked collaboratively with our PLC group since when I started in the district 7 years ago. So I've worked side by side with Brent and others, and then in the last 2 years, Jamie and I have helped get this work moving in a meaningful direction. And so we know that at our district, we know that working to develop and strengthening equitable practices with our staff and students. That's one part of it, but we also need to think critically about family engagement practices and how we can collaboratively cultivate equitable practices among our family leaders. So we honor that our families have a position of influence and power in our system, and making sure that they have the tools they need. And also with partnering with them, we can accelerate the positive impact of our equity framework. So thinking about it through that way has been important. So also it is important, the important work that this group has done fits really nicely with our strategic framework. Within our strategic plan, one whole pillar is dedicated just to community engagement. So this has been helpful as we've been able to elevate the work of the PLC and really give it some meaningful structure with an equitable lens and having something to point to here with our strategic framework. So as we work through the development of this model, here are some examples that the support that the district has provided to continue to develop this collaboration among the district schools and SCOs. So just some examples here is we did a survey for our staff and our teachers, and we've been able to grab that information and share it with the PLC so they can make some informed choices about their work. Looking at how we can support through in-kind printing and offering free legal clinics for family-led nonprofits that operate within our school system. So our SCOs and our booster clubs, like what support can we give them? And so we did put that into place, bringing in some experts and some training. We have staff and our principals and other leaders that attend all of our PLC meetings. We know that time is valuable for everybody, and so having them there after a long day of school and working and having them come at night is really meaningful as well. Also, we put together a PLC retreat where we bring in all of our SCO leaders. We bring them in and work together to get the school year kicked off well. We brought in a speaker series. We have done book clubs and a few other things that Jamie and others have named before me. And then also, like Brent mentioned, a family engagement plan, which was actually cascaded down through all of our school sites, with the idea that family members would be co-creators of the plan. So we do have 3 more meetings this year. We also have a 3rd annual PLC retreat this summer. Something new for us this year is we'll be inviting middle school SEOs to that. They've always been invited, but they've not been able to, we haven't had, the work hasn't been directed towards them, and we will be inviting them in and moving in that direction. And then also, as we support our 3 middle schools with new SEOs, what that looks like. So we're excited about next steps. And we'd be remiss if we didn't extend some gratitude to Janet Rossiter. She's a collaborative leader. You can see this quote here is perfect. She's a collaborative leader. You support people in their work and you remove roadblocks and help them win. We've had a lot of wins the last couple of years because of her emphasis on the important work that the PLC has done and continues to do. And we couldn't have done it without her. And we're so thankful. And speaking of thanks and being grateful, we also can't do this important work without, there's many people, but mostly our SCO leadership and all of the members, our elementary principals, our teachers and staff that have helped support our district administrators and our board liaison. So once again, thank you. Thank you for supporting us as board members in this work, and we appreciate all who have helped with it. Thank you.